Hi, folks. Welcome to this section of the orientation. We are going to talk about Streamwatch caches. This is an important piece of being an ambassador. The cache is really a shed that you'll find at a variety of Streamwatch sites, and inside you will find all the things that you need to do a shift with Streamwatch. So I'm going to show you a little bit about what's inside these caches and what you can expect when you show up to a site and need to get inside and then get your gear and head out on a shift. I'm Galen from Kenai Watershed Forum. You probably know me by now, but let's get started. All right, here's some volunteers at a cache. This is Kay Gardner and Sally Techik. This is the Centennial Park cache. Most of them look just about the same as this. The Russian River ones look a little different, but they're just sheds that have a big Streamwatch logo on the side and a lock on the door. I'm going to give you the codes to those locks in just a minute. And once you go in, all the gear that you will need will be inside. So here are the sites where Streamwatch caches live. The Russian River in the Pink Salmon parking lot. That's kind of the main cache for the Russian River area, and the code to get inside is 1247. So you may want to jot that down. It's an important one to remember. Russian River Ferry, there's a smaller cache there, and the code is 0000. At Bing's Landing in the upper parking lot, so not by the boat launch, but if you turn right just before getting down to the boat launch, you'll drive under the power lines, and then there's another parking area just above Naptown Rapids, and that's a cache there. 1247 is the code to that cache as well. At Moose Range Meadows, there's the two Moose Range Meadows sites about a half-mile apart, and the cache is located near Refuge Employee Housing right after the Moose Range Meadows west parking lot. So the first parking lot that you pass when you're going to Moose Range Meadows, it's kind of a small lot on the right-hand side with a U-shaped driveway, and then the next driveway, it looks like you're pulling into a house. It's a white building, and there's like a garage area, and then a chain link fence on the far right-hand side, and behind that fence is a cache, and again, the code is 1247 there. And then Centennial Park is the last cache we have. The cache is located on the left just after you enter Centennial Park and go by the ticket booth. Just tell the folks in the ticket booth that you're with Streamwatch. There are parking permits located inside the cache that you can put on your dashboard. Same thing at other sites. And again, the code is 1247. So you really just have two to remember. So what's inside a Streamwatch cache? Well, we had a group of Boy Scouts help us put shelving in and really outfit these caches well. So they're all pretty similar. Some have a little more stuff than others, but in general, you will find first aid kits, which you can see on the lower right. Near the first aid kits, you'll find like signage and any other important, paper-based or, plastic signs or that kind of thing that you can use to either show folks what Streamwatch is doing at a site or, replace signage if signage has been vandalized or taken down at a certain site, or if you're putting up signs for the first time in the season, you'll usually find a stack of those somewhere in the cache. Underneath that is garbage and recycling, and there's also buckets for fishing line collection. When we recycle fishing line, we take it out of the monotubes and it'll be like dirty. Sometimes there's trash in there and other things like that. We take it to the cache, put it in a bucket that's labeled dirty fishing line, and then when people clean it, they can put it into the clean line. And I'm going to talk more about that a little later in this presentation. There will be bear spray and these cozy totes, which you'll learn more about. That's a great way to store bear spray if it's going in your bag. Data sheets will be front and center, and I will talk more about those as well. Here's a scale for measuring trash and fishing line. These are counters. Some people like to use counters to keep track of how many folks they talk to during a Streamwatch shift, members of the public that they share educational messaging with or just interact with. You can count each one of those, and those numbers go on the data sheet. There will be like shears and clippers, Those are used to cut zip ties that we use for putting up monotubes or maintaining fence. And then hand sanitizer, sunscreen, and bug spray are always there. There are wading boots. Those are available for your use in case you need to get in the stream. Over here we have gloves and handouts. There's safety glasses. You can see in the upper shelf there's some hard hats with ear muffs. There's also ear plugs. Those can be used for fence installation, which can be really loud when you're pounding it in. And there's zip ties and some other tools that you may need for the job. Down here are backpacks. Those are for you to use. You can put all your gear in the backpack, put bear spray on your waist belt, and head out for the shift. And you don't need to bring your own backpack, which is kind of nice. Definitely bring water though when you're going out for a Streamwatch shift. Maybe a snack as well. And then behind that you can see a table and there's a chair here. That's for setting up a booth, maybe to clean line, have some educational materials. You can talk to people as they come to fish or wildlife view or whatever else they might be doing. And then there are trash pickers over here, and you can't see them, but there will be bags and buckets and other trash pickup equipment in the cache as well. So here you get a better view. Here's some monotubes ready to be put up for fishing line recycling. Bucket, these are some nifty buckets that have a handle so that you can use those to pick up trash if you prefer that over a bag. And then there's just kind of miscellaneous items, bags, giveaways, safety glasses, all things that I've mentioned. And here's the other side, a little better view. So fishing line, dirty line here, clean line here, signage, first aid equipment, and data sheets, and the works. So that's kind of what a cache looks like. They all look pretty similar. You'll find some unique supplies at like the Russian River. There are radios, among other things. Some sites have a little bit more gear or a little bit less depending on the needs of the site. Data sheets. Okay, these are very, very important, and it's well worth your time to take a moment and really fill out these data sheets with clear handwriting and make sure to record your numbers. And the reason that this is really important is that it helps us track Streamwatch's progress. And I'm going to show you another slide that will help kind of qualify that and explain why it's so important in a moment. But for now, I'm just going to walk you through how to fill out a data sheet. So the site name is up here. Just write down, if it's not already there, which site you're at. And then each of these boxes is pretty much for a group to fill out the information from a given shift. So this is the date of the shift. These are the members of the group that is volunteering. Travel mileage is your round trip travel mileage from home or wherever you're coming from to the site and then back. So fill out the full extent of your travel to and from the site and just give us a round mileage number. It doesn't have to be like exact, but just give us an approximate number. That's actually considered a donation of your travel, which is an amazing piece of the program, and it helps us leverage additional funds to support the program. Same with hours. So record your hours in the next box over. Each person should put the hours that they've volunteered, including travel time. You're volunteering from the moment you leave home to come work with Streamwatch to when you get back home. So give us your total hours for each shift, and then each person just initial next to it to verify that it was you. Okay, and then group numbers. So the number of contacts per group is the number of public contacts made per group in a given shift. So if you talk to 5 people each and there's 3 of you, that number would be 15. Same thing with trash. Weigh all the trash that you may have collected and just give us a big total of all the trash that you collected for the day. Same with fishing line to be recycled. Just weigh the line. If you have 3 bags from 3 different people, just try to weigh them all together or weigh them separately and add it up. And then cigarette butts. This one is, it seems silly to count a single item, but there's a lot of indications that cigarette butts are the most ubiquitous, the most common trash item found outdoors in general anywhere. So we want to keep track of how many cigarettes were cigarette butts we're counting. It's an interesting kind of factoid from the program, but it also helps kind of qualify how valuable the work that we're doing is, and it helps us understand the type of trash that we're picking up a little bit more. So yeah, help us out with that. It's something that we recently started doing, and the numbers are pretty staggering. So that's great. And then group comments is another box that is just kind of an open box for you to put in anything that happened during your shift. So if the cache is almost out of gloves, record it in that box, and then when a coordinator goes to collect that data, we'll know, okay, we got to bring gloves next time. If there's wildlife, like a moose by Stairway 22 at Centennial Park, that's really valuable knowledge for the next volunteer who comes, who's going to say, oh, okay, like there may be a moose in that area, or a bear, or anything else that may happen. Please record that stuff there. Okay, so why is this data so important? Well, first I want to walk through all-time Streamwatch data because these numbers are huge, and it's pretty cool that we're all a part of this amazing program. So 21,075 hours have been committed to Streamwatch since 1998. Since 4 years after the program started, we started collecting this data on how many volunteer hours were being contributed, and that is a lot of time. 21,000 hours, that is huge. So thank you all for that commitment. You're a part of that. It's really cool. 62,412 public contacts, again, since 1998. That's a huge number of people. And most of that contact is like really quality one-on-one, talking about many of the things that we are going through in this orientation training, the educational messaging we provide, and your story, you helping these folks have a positive, safe time on the river, helping them understand what river stewardship is huge. That's a huge number. 33,453 pounds of trash since the year 2000. That's a massive amount of trash. And folks, these are not like, we're not picking up engine blocks most of the time. This is like chip bags and cigarette butts and things that weigh like a gram oftentimes. So the cumulative impact of all of that removal is huge. It's removing microplastics from the environment and other potentially harmful materials. It's a great impact. 751 pounds of fishing line has been recycled since 2014. So we started doing that and collecting data on it in 2014. So that's, much newer. There's really just those couple years of data, and 751 pounds of monofilament is like a huge amount of monofilament. That stuff doesn't weigh much, so pretty impressive. And then since 2017, we've already collected 14,363 cigarette butts, and I'm sure that's only a fraction of what we've actually collected because some folks haven't started counting them or we haven't gotten all the data recorded. So pretty impressive numbers there. And what this data does is it helps us show our impact to folks who want to support the program. Donations to Streamwatch help keep the program going, grants help keep the program going, and those who fund it want to see the impact. And these impact numbers are huge and great. So we want to have good data, and you are the citizen scientists who are actually helping us collect that data, which informs not just the program's qualifications, but we actually use this to make decisions about how to manage these sites. Agencies really appreciate having this understanding. We have data collected site by site, and it's a huge help. So please, take some time with those data sheets, make sure you're writing clearly so that we can read it and transfer it over into our data management system. Thank you so much for working with us on that. Radios. Some sites have radios. It's really important at the Russian River. Not as important at most of the downstream sites because you have cell service at the downstream sites, but you do not have cell service, or most of us do not have good cell service at the Russian River sites. So there are radios there. Those are for your use. The channels, these are also in your volunteer manual, but the channels are 6-2 for the Forest Service at the Russian River Campground. ARM stands for Alaska Recreational Management. They are the contractor that runs the Russian River Ferry and campground, and they are on channel 7.5. And at the ferry, ARM is on channel 5.5. And so that's a way to get in touch with other personnel who are working on site. It's a safety thing. You'll hear communications about bear interactions and a bunch of other stuff on there. So keep the radios with you. Okay, cleaning line. Cleaning line is a big part of the program. We recycle fishing line. It's an amazing service to the river, and it also is just a great way to kind of reduce the footprint in general of what we do. So it's fantastic, and there are some kind of ground rules for cleaning line that are important to follow. So we recycle monofilament, and we're also trying to recycle fly fishing line. We cannot recycle the braided fishing line. So this will be made more clear when we are doing our brief on-site orientations with you after you get through this online orientation. But monofilament, you can see in that photo, it's like pretty much standard fishing line. It's what you imagine when you think about fishing line. It's usually just perfectly round. It's completely solid all the way through. It's very strong, and it feels usually like pretty hard. It's bendy, but it feels quite hard. Fly fishing line usually feels pretty soft, and it's kind of squishy. It's hollow on the inside much of the time, and it just, like, monofilament kind of feels like if there was a string of a plastic bottle type plastic. It feels a little bit harder, and fly fishing line is just, it's a little bit softer. It kind of feels like suave or velvety or something when you rub it, and so those two will differentiate. We don't put them in the same receptacle. We need to separate those because they don't recycle them together. It's sort of like when you go to the landfill and they're collecting recycling, and there's like number 1 plastics and number 2 plastics. Much the same here. We need to collect them separately. Braided line, it's really obvious. It kind of feels like cloth. It's braided, and that cannot be recycled with the monofilament. They may even chuck it if there's too much braided line in there. So just separate that out, and I'm working on figuring out if we can figure out a way to recycle that as well. Here's a big pile of dirty fishing line, and you can't really see the specifics here, but like this yellow here might be fly fishing line. It looks like a little bit bigger in diameter, and usually it's quite colorful. All this clear stuff, all the clear stuff is monofilament. Sometimes there will be like green, bright green monofilament too. You can see like it's kind of lime green. But then like braided line is often like blue or purple, and it's really obvious. So yeah, just separate those. You can always set up a cleaning table and just hang out clean line. What we mean when we say cleaning line is cutting off all of the hooks and weights and spinners, whatever else is on there, just so it's only fishing line. We want to only send them fishing line because if there's like metal or other things, that contaminates the recycling load, and we want to make it as cost effective and straightforward to recycle this stuff as possible so that it continues and companies can really do a good job of recycling it.